Welcome, everyone, and thank you for taking the time today to attend. My name is Jimmy. On behalf of Outsourcing Center, we are proud to present today's e-seminar, How to Launch a Successful HRO Initiative Using a Proven Processes by a BPO Innovator. We do want to encourage, and Marie, who will be presenting today, wants to encourage questions throughout the presentation. You may do so by typing your questions into the field labeled questions on your console. Joining us today is Marie. She directs and oversees HR programs across SPI's global sites in the US, Europe, Australia, India, Vietnam, China, Nicaragua, and the Philippines. She has a 24-year track record in the BPO industry. Most recently, she served as VP of HR of a multinational BPO company, where she established HR best practices as common minimum practice, resulting in a robust service delivery structure. She also led HR and hiring teams and introduced a coaching and counseling model that was accorded a Global Best Practice Award. Marie's expertise lies in the strategic organization planning and design, talent management, employee relations, and overall HR delivery. And with that, I would like to turn the presentation over to you, Marie. Welcome.
Hi, everyone. Good morning and good afternoon, wherever you may be. It's a pleasure to have you join us for this afternoon's session. Let me just get started by clicking on my presentation. All right. Perfect. So here we go. I'm on to slide 4 at this time, and just would like to give our listeners a few snippets about who we are. Part of this slide is to show you that we are, as an organization, a 20,000 man strong team. We have 8 global locations across 17 operating centers in Philippines, Vietnam, India, China, US, and the latest addition to our location footprint would be that of Nicaragua. Moving on to, again, part of the introduction about who we are, just to give you a sense of why we are here today, is also the rich experience that we have. We're a company which has roughly 34 years of outsourcing expertise experience across 3 verticals, CRM, Content Solutions, and Healthcare. I would also like to give you a view that for each of the business that we have, example CRM, we are located in 3 locations. That would be Philippines, US, and Nicaragua. For Content Solutions, we are actually located in Philippines, India, Vietnam, China, and the United States. And for Healthcare, we are in the Philippines at this point in time, and our HRO epicenter is in the Philippines as well. We have at this time for the HRO 8 major clients, and this shows you the takeaway on this slide is that we have an average of about 8.5 years of work experience across 32 team members doing work for 8 major clients, where we are supporting 16,000 plus employees per month. And this huge numbers that's in front of you actually gives you a view of the average payroll transactions that we do, just to give you a sense of the volume of work that the 32-man team does for the HRO practice. We also do 18,000 plus average benefit transactions per month. Moving on to part of who we are would be slide number 7, which actually showcase several of the awards that the company has won, of which the most important to SPI Global would be the fortification of the many years of work experience we have, which ICT Awards, which is on the left side of your screen, where you can see we have been accorded last year as the best BPO, as an employer BPO of the year, and in 2011 as the BPO company of the year. And the other awards that are significant to our business life would be winning the award for corporate social responsibility 2 years in a row from NOAA and from the European Outsourcing Association. On page 8, I think is a testimony of a best practice. We would like to ensure that all our client base across multiple verticals and industries, whether they may be a bank or a satellite organization, hospitality, travel, or airline company, whether they may be schools or publishing houses or hospitals, we would like to give them the assurance that our organization is attuned with best practices on certifications, which includes AJA, HIPAA, PCI, which is the payment card industry. We also have full compliance with SOX. And we would like to also share that the company is actually big on Six Sigma. So most of the services that we have are actually certified by black belts and green belts from the time that we inherited the program to the time that we deliver the actual service. Over the years, all our clients have testified, given us a testimony of how happy they are, of how it has moved from where it was to an improved phase. So that those are one of the best practices that we are certainly very proud of. Now, going to the crux of the matter about the topic that we have today, we're starting off with the main point with several questions that any one of our participants would probably ask on how to kickstart the huge word of outsourcing. So there are a lot of questions that probably beleaguered everyone when you think about outsourcing. And obviously, finding the right fit is one of them. And several decisions or questions that need to be made is how scalable or strong are the processes of the provider? What are the associated costs? What are their strong points and strong suits or domain? Are they domain experts? Are they vertical? Do they have the vertical expertise to run the business? So I'm sure these are some of the questions that are in the mind of the individuals in whatever phase you may be. You may be in a place where you haven't started outsourcing anything at this point. You're probably thinking about it, or maybe some of you have started one or two pieces already along the way, and maybe this is a review of whether you are on the right path. So my hope is that the next slides would actually underscore or fortify some of your thoughts about the HRO. Moving on page 10 is a very basic description of what HRO is all about. So it is actually a relationship, a responsibility where the risk of performing tasks from your end are outsourced or delivered and agreed between a service, using a service level agreement between two parties. The company, the outsourcing group, and the third party, which would have been considered the partner. There are many other services. I'm sure I'm talking about HRO at this time, and it covers a couple of points. It could be, at this point, we're concentrating for this hour on payroll outsourcing and benefit management, but some of you may actually have a need for recruitment outsourcing. Some would be on training and development. Whatever it may be, the key elements or factors to consider would be a partner that has a robust tool that could deliver the service for you, a clear understanding of what the upstream and downstream processes are that connects to the actual service that will be outsourced, a well-defined service level agreement that protects the outcome that has been predefined, effective governance structure, and of course, the quality of talent which has strong domain expertise for the line of work that is being outsourced. The promise: we envision to take task of handling the transactional work of any organization whose objective is to focus their core business by eliminating the tedious administrative responsibility. It may be, at this point, processing payroll and benefit, but it could be actually any highly transactional and tactical processes, whether it be in finance and accounting, IT services, procurement, marketing, total rewards, or compensation. We deliver on our promise by setting the standards of customer service. Certainly, it includes ensuring that our staff has the technical skills required to compete globally, creating strategies to deliver integrated solutions for the organization, and raising the bar through stretch targets. So whatever we agree on, like I have two domain experts with me joining us this afternoon, whatever we have signed up with the 8 clients, we made sure that we have stretched those targets so that whatever the stretch outcome would anyway add value to the organization, the client organization. Moving on to slide 14, the right solution. The growth of any outsourcing is triggered by enduring efforts of organization to achieve steep and challenging targets. And for a company to do that, the perception of globalization needs to be the first view, so that everything that we decide on has a perception of scalability, whether it be multi-location, in terms of organizations that have like SPI global sites. So there are 5 factors. Core business focus means that we concentrate resources on business that give more strategic, on business and give more time to strategic issues. On the aspect of cost savings and spend management, it is the effort and objective of reducing costs through outsourcing by creating a flexible cost structure. On performance risk reduction, it is the benefit from increased competence and expertise of the service provider. On flexibility, it is the service provider's capability to assist the organization in improving existing work processes and work streams. And on service delivery improvement, it would be the provider's commitment on-time delivery and accuracy. Moving on to another important element of the commitment is actually on quality. So one of the promise that is delivered is the quality in which the outcome is provided. So the commitment of the company starts with a quality statement, which is signed all the way by the CEO, the global CEO of organization, Molik Parek. And from that particular policy statement or quality commitment, everything that we do emanates going down to every process and every discussion, every SLA that we close with our customers. Now, going through an example, if we are to push our example on payroll services, here are a few part of the 16,000 transactions that we do, and it gives you a snippet of how much work is taken away so that the core executives or core leaders of the organization can actually focus on more business strategic stuff. So just as an example, terminal pay calculation is definitely in any country a statutory requirement. Final computation, annual gross and tax reconciliation. These are very transactional and tactical stuff that the team of 32 men and women that runs the payroll processing and benefit management does every day of their life, supporting the 16,000 men and women of the 8 clients that we have. So that's the amount of time also that these 8 companies, have been able to concentrate on core business activities that focuses on their core business growth. Another example on page 17 are the benefits offered, and so what the team does, for example, on processing of government statutory loans is that instead of the employees of the organization managing this particular piece where we have practically thousands, hundreds into thousands of loans being filed, it's the team of part of the 32 individuals' responsibility is to do it on behalf of the organization. Again, fully compliant with any audit structure that the company has, as well as the internal security requirement of SPI. Moving on to more granular information, here are actual monthly transactions that we have calculated for the employee base that we monitor and support for those 8 companies. So example, regular payroll run is roughly a volume of 14,491. Final pay calculation is about 102 pieces or actual calculation per month. Timekeeping is about 775 adjustments done per month. And these are just, I just wanted to show you the amount of granularity, thereby according you the opportunity to calculate the man hours that each one of us actually pushes to go to the end state, because we need to do this and it's part of our job. And the importance of outsourcing it is doing it on time, accurately, and delivering the service fully compliant with the company's IT security policy. Another example, which is a much exhaustive list over here, are the transactions per month on benefit. You can see there on line number 4, the medical claim reimbursement runs to about 2,421 for just 1 month. And you have government loans, as I mentioned earlier, roughly at about 500 per month. And you can see there the exhaustive list of other services that are extended to the 16,000 men and women that we service. Therefore, the part of the promise of the SLA, obviously, which we are proud to say we have never defied with any of our clients, is the 100% on-time delivery of the service that we have we have contractually agreed to do for them. Absolutely 100% accuracy. Another important element of the service level agreement is obviously the connectivity and their capability to resolve issues within a specified time, which is between 24 to 48 hours. And I'm proud to show the team of people that are involved in our service structure. I have, just to give you an idea, Miles Imasa, who is overall HRSS head, is here with me, as well as Eliza Edilion. They joined me this afternoon in the event that there are granular questions that you wanted to ask about specifics on SLA. So we'd be glad to answer those within this afternoon as well. These are the men and women. I proudly want you to see the cohesive men and women behind the team. And part of our milestone in history are these great global brands of client that we have. And I'll just click on two icons that I wanted you to, at least the two biggest clients of SPI would be PLDT and Smart. PLDT is a leading telecommunications service provider in the Philippines and offers the largest and most diversified range of telecom services. They are a listed company on PSE, or the Philippine Stock Exchange, and its American depository shares are also listed on the New York Stock Exchange. Another great brand where we serve 5,400 employees is Smart Communications. This is the leading wireless service provider. They have about 55.4 million subscribers, of which we're proud to serve this particular brand. All in all, again, as we mentioned, there are about 16,000 in total in terms of overall employee base. So if you have questions later on, I'd be happy to answer more on the history and milestone of the team. This is very important. What they say about us is critical. There are a lot of our customers who are actually thanking us because they actually said they're feeling the love for the first time. You know, the earliest rice subsidy ever credited, we didn't realize, you know, how elated certain customers have been about the service. They're delighted that the team can be contactable and they're living up to the expectations. So we just want to share some of the testimony. There are a lot more, but these are, I think, some of those that really stand out from a testimony standpoint. So in essence, we wanted to underscore the overall benefit of outsourcing, which would be cost savings for the organization, speed of execution, 100% accuracy, data security, productivity, whereby most of the individuals can be reallocated for core functions or core responsibility, leading to growth for the organization. Business continuity is another aspect of benefit, which is very important. And of course, it's not oftenly discussed, but yes, there are highly transactional work in HR that are, shall we say, the men and women behind the HR are stressed, and by removing some of those highly transactional, highly emotional, highly charged steps and outsourcing it to a provider, a reliable partner, it could be a stress reduction as well for the HR community. The last slide I want to share is about embracing the HRO change. So this one is very critical because I know that there are a lot of barriers that disallow or some people discontinue the initiative, and some of the issues or the barriers would be, and I would say this inside the HR community, would be a lot of it is the desire for greater direct control. Some of the reasons could be cultural resistance to change. Some people simply, or organizations, have fear of outsourcing because it might lead to compliance failures, which is a very natural fear to have. Some may have unfortunate vested interest, and obviously in terms of a budget or protecting their job. Some have political sensitivities. Some issues could be that the functions they feel are highly specialized, and outsourcing it would be very, very difficult. So whatever the barriers or reasons are, the steps that you need to undertake to actually embrace the change is encompassed, I believe, in these 5 areas. One is a solid buy-in and leadership commitment. For you to even come to this point, I know that there is a huge discussion that normally comes up with senior leaders of our organization to ensure that people are aware what comes back to the company. Why are we doing it? These questions need to be answered because in the end, the leadership buy-in and commitment only comes from a complete understanding of what we are giving up and what we're gaining from that relationship. The other step is the operating structure modification. Part of the buy-in and leadership commitment is to find out how will the operating structure be changed. When you take away a certain part of the operations and you seem to be giving away the authority and giving away the structure to an expert provider, obviously inside the organization there will be changes that need to be discussed, like the authority, how to audit them, how do you ensure that the SLA covers all the critical factors that will really protect the end outcome. Part of the end outcome is, of course, the employee satisfaction. For finance, it will be ensuring that there is cost savings or that you do not bust their budget over and above what you have been approved with. The other element to this would be change management. We have an organization, one of the logos that I showed you earlier, change management for them started 5 months, 6 months early by announcing to the team that a change will happen, that some of the team members in that particular business will have to be absorbed by the partner provider because their expertise matters to the organization. So there were multiple levels of communication that also happened, and there was a redesign of the process that came to be because the process that they ended up outsourcing to SPI had upstream and downstream connection, which will affect the way service is provided. So we also have one of the logos that I shared earlier where we are doing 100%, yes, 100% of their payroll and end-to-end benefit management, whether it be statutory or company provided. So those stages that I mentioned to you went through this particular 5 changes, and all of them have been able to successfully transition the specific area in which they contracted our services to be delivered. And we are happy to say that in the 2 years, 3 years, this for the recent clients that we won, we have not heard any red flag or any escalation for that matter that would make us believe that we have defied their expectation on the SLA. For us, SLA is a way of life. It is the minimum that we should be able to deliver. What is important for us is the CSAT, the customer satisfaction. And I think to date, we are happy to note that all our clients from the time that they started with us till date, another testimony is we have not lost a client, a single client, and that all of them, 100%, have actually renewed their contract. So I don't want to sell, but I think the reason why I'm saying that is because it's a testimony to the service delivery that we have provided to the satisfaction of our customers. So, wow, time went by so quickly. I mean, at this point, Jimmy, I would be very, very happy in the next few minutes of our time to actually answer questions from our participants.
Absolutely, and thanks, Marie. I do have 3 questions that have come in so far. I know there was one question I'll answer so everybody knows on the attendance, the attendees. We will be sending out a recorded link to all of you within a 24-hour period, so you can review this recording at your convenience. But let me start with the first question that came in, Marie. And the question effectively is, how do we ensure confidentiality of our payroll and other employee data?
Thank you so much, Jimmy. A very good question. Like I shared in one of the slides, we are big on compliance. So there is access restriction per account, which is prescribed at the beginning of the engagement. The entire team is compliant with the company's internal controls on IT security, internal audit, and as well as all the defined internal client controls. So those are 3 separate controls. One is based on the certification of the company. The second is on the IT, the basic IT security, the defined internal audit requirement of SPI, and last but not the least, the client's internal control requirement. So all those will be predefined and agreed at the beginning of the engagement that will protect all the client information.
Okay. Thank you so much for that answer. I've got a few more that have come in. The next one is if I outsourced our payroll, how much do services typically what will they cost me? What will they cost our organization?
All right, fair question. What we normally do is we do scoping work. So for specifically for payroll, as an example, it will depend on the scope of work to be outsourced and the employee headcount. So the higher the employee headcount, the lower the cost. So the lower the headcount, the higher the cost. So this will be part of the project scoping, and when we define the SOW, as we call it, or the scope of work. So if there are, for example, sample requirement that would come in, we would cost it out in accordance to the overall design of the scope of work and the employee base which the group will service. So it's not as straightforward an answer as I would like to be, but at least what I gave is the dependency of the cost And should there be in the future any request for costing, we would be happy to provide it.
I do have kind of a follow-up question. Thank you, Marie, for that. I do have a follow-up question from another attendee, and it's around transaction pricing. They'd like to know what's your opinion on transaction pricing, and how do you share cost of variation?
So we do agree. We have a couple of accounts that are based on transaction pricing. It is something. It is a model I believe that works for both the client and SPI. However, the volume of work is very critical in defining volume pricing, because in the 32 men and women that does payroll and benefit management for 16,000 employees for 8 companies, you can just imagine that when I showed you the logo earlier, if I can just go back to that particular slide, Jimmy, here, there are companies that are, for example, the EPLDT group is about 183 employees, and for the PLDT Global, it's only 58. So you can just imagine that the transaction for those small base, employee-based company would be very small, and therefore the alignment of resources would not be dedicated. So if the client would agree to a price that is based on a guaranteed volume, then it would be something that we can definitely agree on, because it has been one of the few models that we have actually done for the 8 clients that we have at this time.
Great answer. I do have a couple more questions, and I'm looking at time, so we're okay on time. Here's one more question actually from an attendee. How much automation do you use in providing your services to your clients?
Good question. So what we have inside SPI Global is a team of men and women who actually works on, they are the technology group. So their job is actually to constantly source for ways and means to improve processes and automate what needs to be automated. So along the way, you can just imagine that we are receiving some of the processes as is, but it will actually proceed its life cycle with several improvements along the way in discussion with the client. There are some during the transition which is already lift and shift. So there, prior to the shifting, there is already some improvements. But the good news is the men and women in technology team are employees of SPI, and they work towards improving client processes, including discussions of automations for processes that we both agree is something that is important for the client's scalability.
I think that's a great answer to that. I've got these questions are fantastic. So thanks to the attendees for sending these in. I've got one more from I've got actually 2 more from an attendee, and based on time, I think we're okay. This one is around change management, knowing that it's a key factor when you're supporting any level of an organization. What the attendee would like to know is, when it comes to change management, what I'll say best practices or processes does SPI follow that you could share with us to ensure quality and timely delivery?
Yes. So first and foremost, many companies would opt to keep certain movements such as outsourcing a secret. So I think the first base of action is for the management team to actually round up a a few good men and women that would act as project leaders who will actually plot the project timeline, the changes, check the policies if all the policies are documented, do the communication mapping, check the involvement of leaders around the organization, map out the level of conversation to employees affected, to business affected, to functional teams, to until it reaches an enterprise-wide communication if need be. One of the great examples we have is again on part of this client base that we have, where they have a SPOC, a single point of contact, who acted as the project manager, who crafted the service level agreement, crafted the scope of work, and went on to revisit per line item so that they do not miss a heartbeat on what is covered, not covered. Who is responsible for this line of work? What is what we call the SOD, or the separation of duty between SPI and the client? Where does it start? Where does it end? So a great project plan would actually encompass all the details that I mentioned, which would eventually feed into the change management structure from start to end until the project goes live. In fact, the change management does not end when the project goes live. The change management would only end once you see that whatever you lifted and shifted out of your organization is working well with that provider, and it goes as far as ensuring that whoever is left behind in the organization have been properly placed, have been, and one great example is really again, one of our customers, PLDT, who did a fantastic job. Zero escalation, all the employees happy, everybody communicated well. We just got we went live on the date that we committed to go live, but because our team and their team actually worked together in crafting the change management plan, which required obviously a lot of meeting, but they have a great point of contact that understands the emotion and the amount of work required to transition in and out this key processes. I'm sorry for the long answer, but I think it's invoking both the experience from our key client and as well as seeing what in all the years that SPI has operated, it has created its own model of change management. So those are some of the factors that went into that change management and project plan.
Fantastic. Thanks, Marie. I've got two more questions that I'm going to end with. The first one is, what other HR and kind of non-HR work can be outsourced other than payroll processing and benefit management? What else? What other services could be effectively outsourced?
Yes, so we have a team of men and women that actually does fantastic work on leadership development. They also handle not only leadership development in terms of delivery and authoring the program, but actually the more important aspect is emanating from creating a CGA, or competency gap analysis, so by which the organization can anchor their budget on leadership development by first seeing what are the competency gap. So there is a model that we follow, and there is a team of people that actually does that in our organization. The other piece that we're comfortable with is compensation management. And the other piece is on the aspect of so it's not HRO per se, but the other services that can be outsourced in SPI. If I can expand a little bit on that question, is actually finance and accounting. We also have IT services. I mentioned about leadership and development. I mentioned about competency gap analysis, um, uh, total reward management, and bits of and pieces as well of marketing services.
Okay, great. Thank you. I've got one final question that I think is appropriate to end on. It's a great question, and it is, with your clients, what ROI do you typically achieve by outsourcing their services to you?
Great. I agree with you. It's a great question to end this particular session. So, if I can just club some of the example is zero, if I can concentrate on the service of payroll processing and benefit management in terms of ROI, first and foremost, though I will not mention the amount of savings, but for at least the uh, 2012 company that we partnered with, the Smart and the PLDT, easily there are probably how many employees? Maybe 15 employees. So these are 15 organic employees of these two organizations whose operating expense have been saved and will be non-recurring expense for the organization. The other thing is the 100% on-time delivery, I would say, is an ROI because now if you outsource it, the scalability of that particular metric being part of the payment structure, payment model, 100% on-time delivery, zero error rate, 100% compliance to audit certifications, 100% compliance to labor standards. Those are items that day in or day out, our men and women would actually protect and monitor, which already is a gain on the part of the customer because um, in our case we take this um, as part of our BSC or balance scorecard to ensure that the compliance and ESA to these standards and to these SLAs are to the T. On top of the, some companies would also have perhaps tools. You know, some of the things that are not measured are the maintenance of the tools, is again a non-recurring expense. They no longer have to pay for the office space. Yeah, thank you. The office space, employee payroll, employee benefit, the office supplies. These are all going on the OPEX line item as savings on top of the fact that they are guaranteed by way of the SLA, the zero error rate, on-time delivery, 100% compliance to the labor standard, and 100% compliance to the audit certifications of the organization. So those are real and hardcore savings that will automatically go to the bank right away. I hope that helps.
I think it does. Great. At this time, I'm going to cut off all questions. If your questions have not been answered, somebody from SPI will be reaching out to you guys within the next few days to answer those questions either via email or by the phone, one-on-one. Marie, before I close this session out, I wanted to, if there's any final thoughts that you wanted to add.
Yes. I am not here um, to sell per se. I am more here to ensure that my fellow HR professionals, if you're based, I believe most of you are based out of the United States, is that to give an assurance that there is a way for all of us to be strategic, to all of us, um, you know, be more uh, by reducing those risk and increasing cost savings, building efficiency, and pushing our time on core business deliverables. There is a way out of it, and that way out is to decide on which is core to the organization and which is not core. And by that decision, go to a trusted provider that can actually deliver the end state outcome that you so desire to have, whilst you are redirecting your energy to more strategic um, business impacting deliverables. So I hope this session has been very, very helpful. I have definitely enjoyed presenting to all of you. I have attached the contact details of Miles and Lisa, which I hope I know this will be shared by Jimmy and the outsourcing group, outsourcing center rather. And just feel free to reach out even as colleagues in the industry. If you have questions, I'll be happy to answer them in the future as well. So thank you, Jimmy. Thank you so much for hosting us.
Oh, Marie, thank you. It was a pleasure. Great session today. And to all of our attendees today, thank you for attending, and be on the lookout tomorrow for an email of today's presentation and a link to the recording. Thanks again, everyone, for joining.